Welcome to the deep dive, where we take a stack of information and really pull out the crucial insights. It's like a shortcut to getting informed without, feeling totally overwhelmed.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
And today we're diving into the Presupuestos Comercial, actually is that YAI software. We're working off a YouTube video from, let's see, April 30th, 2020 by the folks who made it. Yeah, we'll just call them the software designer.
Right, the software designer.
Yeah.
So our mission for you, the listener, is pretty clear. Understand how this tool helps streamline the whole purchasing maze inside a company.
Yeah, if you're into business operations or maybe process optimization or just curious how tech handles these complex workflows, this should be interesting.
Totally. I mean, think about all the buying a company does. Requests, approvals, quotes. It's a lot. Keeping that straight manually. Tough. So a digital solution sounds promising. Okay, let's get into it. Where does the software designer start?
Well, they first lay out the basic structure the software manages. You got departments, then the people actually making the request, the requesters.
Okay.
Then there's supervisors, who are the authorizers. And finally, the central purchasing department. A key point they make is that decisions, like approvals, are kept mainly within the department itself initially.
Makes sense. Keep it local first. And they
Yeah.
showed examples of these roles, right?
Exactly. Like Almacen 2, Warehouse 2, was a requester. They could create a request, but didn't have full power right away. Their permissions were limited.
Okay.
Then you have someone like Almacen 1, Warehouse 1, acting as a supervisor, their job. Review requests from their team and, crucially, authorize them digitally, using their username and password as a signature.
A digital sign-off, important for tracking.
Very. Then there's the purchasing department. The example was Contabilidad 1, Accounting 1. They jump in once a request is actually authorized.
Right, after the supervisor gives the okay.
Yeah. Their big task is getting price quotes from vendors. And what's neat is this system apparently lets them look up past purchase history and prices for items. That's useful for negotiating.
Oh, definitely. Like having past invoices right there.
Exactly. Then they're the ones who generate the actual purchase orders. And interestingly, they mentioned purchasing can also create requests for other departments if needed. So not just passive receivers.
Okay. That adds flexibility. And there's management, too.
Yep, Gerente,
Yeah.
the manager. Their approval comes in for purchase orders, especially the big ticket ones, over certain money limits.
So different levels of approval based on cost.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And that introduces the idea that sometimes you might need multiple managers to sign off digitally. Adds another layer of financial control, checks and balances, like you said earlier.
Okay, got it. So different roles, different permissions. How does everyone stay in the loop? Is there email alerts or something?
There is. The software designer showed an email notification system. It pings people at key stages, like when a supervisor needs to approve something or when management needs to authorize a purchase order.
Handy. Keeps things moving.
And it even handles sending, quote, requests out to vendors and the final purchase orders, too, all from a specific purchasing department email address. Helps centralize that communication.
So it's not coming from random people's inboxes. Good.
Right. And behind all this, there's an administrator role. They're the ones setting up all the users, the departments, the permissions, basically configuring the whole thing to match the company's structure. Yep. They enable the digital signatures, decide who can see stuff across different departments, all that setup stuff.
Right, the initial heavy lifting to make it work for that specific company. Okay, so we have the players. How does an actual request, say, for that measuring tape they mentioned, move through this system, the workflow?
Okay, yeah, the workflow. So the software designer used that tipo metro, the measuring tape example. A requester, like our friend in Almacen 2, needs one. They log into the software, create the request.
And it gets logged immediately.
Instantly. Its status becomes pendiente, which just means pending, waiting for the supervisor. The requester can see the status, so they know it's in the system.
Okay, that visibility is key. Cuts down on, hey, what's happening with my request calls?
Exactly. So the supervisor, maybe from Almacen 1, gets notified, logs in, reviews it. If there are any PDFs attached, like supporting documents, they can view those too.
So you can attach backup info. Good.
Yeah, provides context.
Mhm.
If the supervisor approves, they use their digital signature username and password again, and the status changes. It becomes autorizadas, meaning authorized.
Signed, sealed, delivered. Well, authorized anyway. Clear accountability there.
Definitely. Now, the authorized request moves over to the purchasing department. Its status updates again, this time to encodization, basically, being quoted.
So now it's purchasing's turn.
Right. Their job is to get the prices. The software designer mentioned they can use existing product codes, probably linked to their main accounting system, which they called commercial premium,
Okay.
but they can also use generic codes. They specifically recommended this for services, things you don't stock, to avoid messing up inventory counts.
Smart. Avoids creating phantom stock. Seems like it. So purchasing reaches out to suppliers. The software lets them send, quote, requests to multiple vendors at once, which is efficient.
Yeah, saves time calling or emailing each one separately.
And then, as the quotes come back, they record the prices right in the system, makes comparing offers really easy side by side. Once they have the quotes, the status might change again, maybe to quote as auto-quoted.
Got it. So quotes are in. What's next? Does purchasing just pick one?
Well, they compile the info. They create what the software designer called a codization. It's basically a summary of the bids they got, plus the recommendation on which vendor to go with.
Okay, so they don't just present raw prices, they give their opinion too.
Exactly. And they highlighted that purchasing can add reasons for their choice. Maybe one vendor is slightly pricier, but has much faster delivery. They can note that down.
Context again. Important for the final decision maker.
Right. Because this cotization then goes up for management approval. This is the step before the actual purchase order is created.
So it goes to the gerente, the manager role we talked about. Yep. The manager reviews the, quote, summary, sees the options, sees purchasing's recommendation and justification. If they agree, they give their digital signature. This approves the generation of the purchase order.
And this is where those monetary limits might kick in, potentially needing more than one manager's signature.
Correct. The system can be set up with rules. Maybe orders under $500 just need one manager, but over $5,000 needs two or something like that. Provides that tiered oversight.
Makes sense. Control the big spending more tightly.
So once management signs off digitally, the Actualize It YA software generates the purchase order number and the document within its system.
Okay, the PO is official now.
But here's a key integration point the software designer mentioned. That PO information also gets sent over to their main commercial premium system.
Ah, the accounting commercial system.
Exactly. So the financial side is updated too. They did clarify, though, that the initial requesters, like Almason 2, probably don't need commercial premium installed. But purchasing and the final approvers likely do, because that's where the core financial data lives.
Got it. So the budgeting tool talks to the main system. That's pretty important. Okay, so that's the whole journey of a request. From meeting a measuring tape to having an official PO logged in accounting. Seems thorough.
It does. Very step-by-step. Lots of tracking.
Okay, beyond just using it day to day, what about setting it up? Customizing it? Did the software designer cover features and configurations?
Oh, yeah, quite a bit. They stress the installation's pretty simple, done via their website, actualities.com.mx. They offer trials, manuals, support tickets, the usual stuff to get started.
Standard support. Good. What about tailoring it?
Lots of options there. Digital signatures, for instance. You can define exactly who gets signing authority and how far it extends, just their department, or maybe company-wide for some roles.
So you can really map it to your company's approval structure.
Seems like it. And those monetary approval ranges we mentioned. Totally configurable. You set the spending limits, assign who approves which range, and how many approvals are needed.
And you mentioned automatic approval for small stuff.
Right. You can set a threshold, say anything under $50, and if the initial request is okay, the PO generates automatically. No need for further manager sign-off. That could be a huge time saver for little routine buys.
Yeah, I can see that. No need for a manager to approve buying, like, paper clips every week.
Exactly. They also covered practical things like setting up a shared network folder for those attached PDF documents so everyone accesses the same pool of supporting files.
Centralized storage. Good.
You can also set how often the system automatically checks for status updates and sends out those avisos, the notifications. Keeps things ticking along.
Okay. Anything for the purchasing team specifically?
Yeah. You can configure a target number of quotes they should try to get per request. Encourages competitive bidding, I guess.
This is expectation, yeah.
And interestingly, you can choose to have the vendor quotes they capture saved directly into commercial premium as official quotation documents. Creates a nice solid audit trail of the quoting process itself.
Ah, linking the systems again. Capturing that pre-purchase info.
And they touched on customizing the look of the documents too. You can add your company logo and name to POs and, quote, requests. They even hinted at future options for picking different design templates.
Branding consistency. Makes sense.
Plus, the technical setup configuring your outgoing email server for the notifications. Setting a general notification email for users without one. Basic, but necessary stuff. You could also check your license info easily from within the software.
Okay. Anything else stand out on configuration?
One more thing for international business. You can set a specific exchange rate for POs in foreign currencies. And this rate can apparently be different from the one used in the main commercial premium system, giving some flexibility there.
Interesting. Wonder why you'd need that, but okay, flexibility's good.
They also have a help section with a legend explaining all the different status codes, pendiente, autorizadas, etc. And looking ahead, they mentioned they're working on letting users select different companies set up within commercial premium directly from this budgeting tool. That'd be big for multi-entity businesses.
Wow, okay. That would be useful. So it sounds like the software designer put a lot of thought into making it adaptable.
It really seems that way. Lots of levers to pull to make it fit.
Okay, so it manages the process, it's configurable, but what about learning from it? Does it offer any reporting, analytics? Did the software designer show anything like that?
They did. First, there's a report called Estadística de Solicitudes, request statistics. It gives you an overview, broken down by department.
What kind of overview?
You can see how many requests were created, how many are still pending, how many got rejected, how many were authorized, basic counts like that.
Okay, operational stats, useful for seeing bottlenecks maybe.
Exactly. And it also shows, for the authorized ones, how many quotes were generated, and then how many actual purchase orders resulted from those. Plus the total value of those POs in both local and foreign currency gives you that high-level snapshot of procurement activity.
Right, a dashboard for purchasing flow. Makes sense. Anything deeper?
Yes. They highlighted 2 more reports that pull the data from the commercial premium system, focusing purely on purchase data, not just requests.
Ah, looking at what was actually bought.
Correct. The first one is a 12-month table. You can analyze spending by product family, specific product, or by vendor. It shows you month-by-month spending, averages, both value and quantity.
So you could see, like, wow, we spend a lot on screws from vendor X in July.
Precisely. Or track if spending on a certain category is trending up or down. It even has options to show net amounts, factoring in returns. Imagine using that data to negotiate better deals with suppliers you buy a lot from.
Yeah, that's powerful data. Knowledge is leverage, right?
Definitely. The second report they showed was comparative. It lets you compare spending between 2 different time periods.
Like this month versus last month, or this quarter versus same quarter last year.
Exactly that kind of thing. Again, you can slice it by product family, product, or vendor. It shows the difference, the variance between the periods.
So you can quickly spot big changes.
And they added a nice touch. You can sort the report by the amount of variation. So the biggest increases or decreases jump right to the top. Super useful for spotting anomalies or trends quickly.
Oh, that is useful. Find the outliers fast.
And one more thing on that report. It can apparently project spending for a period even if it's not finished yet. Based on the partial data, it can be really helpful for budgeting and forecasting.
Wow, okay, so it moves beyond just recording transactions into actual analysis and even prediction. That's turning data into intelligence.
That seems to be the goal, yes. Leveraging the data collected through the process.
Okay, so let's try and wrap this up then. Based on this deep dive into the software designer's video, what are the main takeaways, the key benefits of this Actualizate YA software?
Well, I think the big themes are digitalization, obviously moving away from paper.
Which brings control, right? Tighter control over spending.
Definitely. And improved visibility. That visor feature for requesters, letting them see the status, that's huge for reducing frustration and follow-up.
Yeah, less, where's my stuff? Streamlined quoting seems like a big plus too. Getting multiple bids easily.
And the defined approval workflows. Having those digital signatures, potentially multiple levels based on cost, creates a clear, auditable trail.
Can't argue your way around a digital timestamp and signature.
Not easily. And finally, those reporting tools we just discussed, moving from just processing purchases to actually analyzing spending patterns, it all paints a picture of a much more efficient, controlled way to handle procurement.
It really does. It sounds like the software designer aimed for a comprehensive system to tackle what can be a messy part of running a business.
Absolutely. For me, one of the real aha moments was just seeing the level of detail they went into at each stage. From the initial request configuration all the way to integrating with the accounting system. It felt quite thorough.
Yeah, me too. It's like they tried to anticipate all the little friction points needing attachments, different approval levels, tracking quotes, wanting reports, and build solutions for them. Quite impressive.
And understanding systems like this, even if you don't use this specific one, really highlights why businesses move towards these digital tools. It's about that clarity, the auditability, better communication.
Efficiency, ultimately.
Right. And it makes you think, where else in your context could processes be optimized with similar digital workflows?
Good point. It prompts some reflection. So on that note, maybe a final thought for you, our listener, to chew on.
Okay, let's hear it.
Think about that integration piece we kept coming back to, the connection between this budgeting requisition software and the main accounting system, Commercial Premium, both from the software designer. How does linking those two truly boost overall business intelligence? What else, beyond just purchase stats, might become really valuable insight when those systems talk seamlessly? Something to ponder.